So today we are going to discuss about access control in Snowflake. Okay. So the agenda is like what is access control? What are the key concepts of access control? What is the objects hierarchy? And what are all the roles present in Snowflake? And out of that, what are the system defined roles and what are the custom roles? And what is the role hierarchy? Okay. So we are going to discuss all these things. And these are very important. In real time we may not operate with these things. Okay, only admins will be creating the roles, users, and they will be operating this, but we should understand the concept of access control. Okay, it is somewhat confusing, and I will try to explain as simple as possible from my side. Okay, try to understand the concepts. Okay, lab execution part may not be important for this, but you should be able to understand the concepts. Okay, how the access control is happening in Snowflake. You should be able to answer any questions from interviews or if anybody is asking about access control. Okay, it is somewhat confusing, but if you try to understand, it will be easy. Okay. So what is access control in general? Okay, what is access control? Access control determines who can access the database objects and perform operations on specific objects in Snowflake. That means if we are putting some access control over any objects, okay, it will determine so who all the users or who all the system can access those objects, like and they can perform some operations. So suppose if I grant only select access to particular user, that user can only query that table, but he cannot do any modifications. He cannot execute any DML operations like insert, delete. But if I grant all permissions on the table to any user, then he can do anything. He can select the data, he can delete the data, he can drop the data, whatever he can do. So access control, we are granting the access, right? So that is called by giving the access to that user. So access control is nothing but specifying who can all access those objects and who can all modify or delete or drop those objects. Okay, how this will be done in Snowflake, we will see today. And Snowflake supports two types. Okay, two types of access control models. Okay, it supports both. There are actually two types of access control models in any database. Snowflake supports both of them. First one is discretionary access control. That means every object in the database will have a owner. So whoever is creating that object, database or schema or table, it will have one owner, right? Whoever is creating that will be the owner by default. So he can give the access to other users. The owner can give the access to the other users, okay, for that object. So that model is called discretionary access control. Here owner is main. Whoever is creating the table, he can only grant the access to all other users. But there is another model called role-based access control, where access privileges are assigned to some roles. Okay, and those roles will be assigned to the users. Suppose in my organization there are multiple teams. Okay, in suppose in my project I have developers team, I have testers team, I have business analyst team, I have end users who will be using the data finally, and I have a leadership team who will be making decisions over my business. Okay, and if you see, developers need all kind of access, okay, in the dev environment. Suppose just consider about dev environment, they need all the access. Okay, so in that case we have to give all permissions to that developer and tester group. But the business analyst or the end users, they don't need they don't operate with the data, they don't do any transactional things with the data, so they need only select access. So we can grant only select privileges to that those users. So instead of granting those permissions, select or delete or insert permissions to the users, so we will define some roles. Okay, suppose developer role, tester role, business analyst role, and for that role we'll assign all these privileges. Select, insert. For developer will assign all privileges. For business analyst uh, will specify only select privileges. And then we will add users to those roles. Suppose I have 10 developers. I will assign all those 10 developers to developer role so that they can do anything. And if I have two business analysts, I will assign those two business analysts to the business analyst role so that they can only select the data from the database. So it's completely role based access control. We are going to define some set of roles and we'll be assigning those roles to users. Okay. I hope you are understanding. So Snowflake supports both of this model. Any owner, if you are a owner, you can create a table and you can grant access to that multiple users. Okay, but in general, the companies follow like the real time. It will be completely role-based access control. And if you are just a user of a Snowflake account, you cannot even see your account admin role and other roles. Okay, whatever the role they have given to you, okay, that role only you can see in your Snowflake web UI. And other roles you can't even access and you can't even see in the web UI window. Okay. So this is about role-based access control, and let's see in detail. Okay. So before going to the access control things, so what are the key concepts to provide the access to the users or to the roles? Okay. So these are the key concepts. First thing is securable object. Okay. So securable object is nothing but an entity to which access can be granted. So it's by name itself, you can see it's an object to which we can give the access to other users. Okay. It can be a table, it can be a schema, it can be a view, it can be a database, whatever it is. Okay. These are the main objects to which we will be providing privileges to the roles or users. Okay. So the second thing is role. Role is nothing but an entity to which privileges can be granted. Okay. So instead of granting the privileges to the users directly, what we can do, we can define some roles and assign and give privileges to those role, and then in turn assign users to that role. So whatever I explained in the previous slide. Okay. So first of all, we create some roles, then we'll assign all the privileges required to that role, then we'll assign that role to users. Okay. So this is about a role. Okay, and one more thing, roles can be assigned to other roles also. Okay, I will explain you in practical how we'll do that. Okay, and the third thing is privilege. So what is privilege in general? So it's in any database. Okay, it is the level of access that can be granted to any object. So only select privilege or only insert privilege. Okay, all privileges. Okay, only drop privilege, only create privilege. Okay, so these are the different privileges: select, create, drop, insert, delete. Okay, all privileges also is there. So it is the level of access that can be granted to any object or to any role. Okay. The next thing is user. So by just looking at the name, we can say it's a person or some system. It specifies a person or a system to whom the access can be granted, right? So finally, whatever we do, there will be end users. There will be users in the Snowflake. Access should be granted to them. Sometimes what will happen in real time, we don't operate everything. Suppose if you consider the batch loads, okay. Suppose we will create a batch user ID, and that user ID will be responsible for all data loads. In suppose if you have some idea on ETL or data loads, okay, into the databases, we are not going to load the data with our user IDs. So we'll create one batch user ID and we'll assign all privileges to that batch user ID, and that batch user ID will be responsible for data loading, okay, inserting or selecting whatever it is. So it can be the user can be a batch ID also. Okay, in real time, mostly it will be batch ID. In the production, we'll create batch IDs and we'll assign all the privileges to that batch ID, and that batch ID will be responsible for everything. Suppose in production, we'll not have insert access. All the users will not have insert and delete access. But suppose my operation is insert and then update. Okay. We cannot do that operation, right? What do in that case, what we do, we create one batch user ID, and for that batch user ID, we'll give all privileges. It can insert, it can drop, it can create table. All privileges will give to that batch user ID. Okay, and we'll set a password for that. Okay, and we'll operate entire system with that batch user ID. So a user can be a team member, or it can be a batch user ID to whom this access can be granted. Okay, so these are the key concepts of access control in Snowflake. Secureable object, it's an entity to which the access can be granted. A role, an entity to which privileges can be granted. Privilege is nothing but the level of access, and user is nothing but a person or the batch ID. Okay, to whom we give the access. So if you if you cannot understand the previous slide, now you can get more clarity here. Suppose just understand this diagram. Okay, there is a owner. Okay, he has created some tables. Okay, he has created some objects. So it can be like the object can be like a database or table or warehouse, whatever it is. Okay, and there will be privileges, some privileges associated with that objects. So only insert, only select, or all permissions. So for every object there will be some privileges. Okay, so and we can grant these privileges to we can grant these privileges to a user, and we can grant privileges to this role. Suppose I have only one end user. Okay, and in future also there will be no other end user. So in that case, what I can do, instead of creating a role, okay, I can directly assign these privileges to that user. Okay, suppose if I have some 10 developers and 10 testers, in that case, what I can do, I can create a role with a developer name, and I can create another role with the tester name, and then I grant privileges to this role. Okay, and then I'll assign this role to multiple users. Okay, so what is the advantage here? Suppose I have a new joinee in my team. Okay, and suppose user 7. Okay, and he will come under developers group. So instead of providing all these privileges to that user, we can simply grant this role to that user. So he will be able to access all the developer related objects, and he will get some whatever the access we have defined in the privileges, he will get that access. So the hierarchy will be like this. First, a owner will create the objects. Okay, it can be a database, it can be a table, it can be a warehouse. Okay, it can be a schema, whatever, and there will be some privileges associated with those objects. It can be insert, create, select, drop. Okay, and those privileges will be assigned to they can be directly assigned to users, or they can be assigned to some roles, and in turn those roles will be assigned to users. So users will get access through these roles, whatever the privileges granted to this role. Okay, all those access the users will get. Okay, so this is how the role-based access control works in Snowflake. Okay, and you may get a question. So what are all the privileges we have? Okay, it's a select privilege. So we can execute only select statement on the table. Okay, for any table, if we are giving only select a privilege, that user can only view the data from the table. And insert privilege, update, truncate. So they can insert the data, they can update the data, they can truncate the data, they can delete the data. And if for any user in development environment in general, what we do, we give all the access to the developers. So in that case, no need to specify each and every privilege. No need to write 5 queries. Okay, we can simply grant all. Okay, grant all privileges. Okay, to that table, to that user. Okay, and ownership. Suppose a user is there, user 1. He has created a table, and he wants to transfer that ownership to some other user. He can grant that ownership to the other user, suppose user 2. Okay, so like that. So whenever user 1 is transferring the ownership to user 2, then user 2 will not be user 2 will be the permanent owner after that, and user 1 will not have any access to those objects later. Okay, whenever we transfer the ownership, then we are not the owner, the other guy will become the owner. So these are different privileges. Okay, we can grant to roles or users. So this is the object hierarchy in Snowflake. whatever we discussed as of now. So there will be an organization, okay, and the organization will create an account, Snowflake account, and in that Snowflake account, these are the roles, okay. These are the different objects, okay. Users are objects, roles are objects, databases are objects, virtual warehouses are objects, okay, and any other objects can be there in the account, okay. And inside the database, or again there will be a schema, okay. So database, inside the database there will be a schema, and inside the schema again there can be multiple objects, table, views, stages, stored procedures, file format objects, stage, internal stages, sectional stages, okay. UDFs, user defined functions, okay. Any kind of objects there can be there under the schema, okay. So this is hierarchy, the organization. That means a admin will be there for organization related things, and a admin will be there for account related things. Okay, and there will be admin who can create this users, roles, databases, warehouses. Okay, and under the databases, schemas will present. Okay, but under roles and users there will be nothing. Under warehouse there will be nothing. Okay, but under the database there will be multiple schemas, and under schemas, okay, there can be multiple things, okay. So in my table schema there will be tables, in my view schema there will be views, in my external stages schema I can create stages, okay. And under the stored procedure schema I can create stored procedures. Like that we can create any type of objects under the schema, okay. So this is the hierarchy. Just remember why I'm showing this, we'll explain you later, okay. So this is the object hierarchy in Snowflake. So let's have a deep look into the roles. Okay, these are very important. So as I said, roles are the entities to which privileges and securable objects. So whatever we have seen here, the securable objects, okay, databases, tables, warehouses, okay. So roles are the entities to which privileges and securable objects can be granted and revoked. Okay, so we can grant the access to that role, we can to that object, okay, and we can revoke the access also later point of time whenever we realize that access is not required, okay. And roles are assigned to users to allow them to perform actions required for the business functions. So with just creating roles we cannot do anything, right? So those roles should be assigned to a group of people or a single user, okay. So in that case only they can perform the required operations. Suppose a developer wants to load some data, so he need insert access to the table. So for the developer role we give insert privileges, then we'll assign that role to the developer, then he can insert the data into the table. Like that the roles are assigned to users so that they can perform their business functions. And a user can be assigned to multiple roles, okay. Any user can have multiple roles. He can be part of development team and he can be part of a testing team. In that case he need both the access, development access and testing access. So we can assign both the roles. Development role we can assign to him, we can assign both the uh, testing role to also to him. So this allows users to switch roles in the Snowflake web UI. Whenever he is doing some development work, he will run all his queries with the development role, and he can switch easily from the web UI to other role, tester role, and he can perform his testing activities. Okay, so any user can have multiple roles in Snowflake. And on Snowflake web UI window, the top right corner shows which role is currently we are using. So there are multiple roles, right? There can be a system defined roles, custom roles, okay? And in the top right corner, it will show us. So with which role we are currently operating, with which role we are currently running our queries, okay? So there are two types of roles, okay. One is system defined roles and the other is custom roles. System defined roles are nothing but the system is giving some roles. Actually by default whenever you create a Snowflake account, some roles comes, okay, automatically. And custom roles are nothing but the roles we are going to create. So in the last example I was saying developer, tester, business analyst, end users, leadership team. So all these are not system defined roles, but we can create. Those are the custom roles. So let's have a deep look into both system defined roles and custom roles. Okay, but before that, let's see. So the top right corner, it shows the user. It shows the role. Okay, so here the current role is account admin. This is the system defined role, and we are doing all the operations with account admin. If I want to switch to other role, okay, here you see account admin, org admin, public. These are the system defined roles. These all are the system defined roles. And if we create some custom roles, they also will come here. Okay, and there is some hierarchy. Okay, if you log in with account admin, then only you can see all this. If I log in with security admin, I can see only security admin, user admin, and public. Okay, so whatever the roles under that, I'll explain you clearly in the next slides. Okay, so these are the roles. Okay, and let's go back to our slide. Okay, so system defined roles. Let's discuss about system defined roles. Okay, the first thing is org admin. So just before 3 or 4 months, this role was not there. Okay, it was recently introduced. Earlier, the account admin was the topper. Okay, it was the top role. But now they introduced one more role, organization admin. So it is the organization level role. Suppose I have an organization, okay, and under that organization there are multiple projects, okay, and for one project we have created one Snowflake account. For the second project we have created another Snowflake account, and third project we have created third Snowflake account. But there should be admin who can control all these accounts, right? So with one account we can create multiple users, but if there are multiple projects and it's a big organization and it needs multiple Snowflake accounts, okay, there should be one admin who can control all these Snowflake accounts. So organization admin is that role. So this role that can manage operations at the organization level. More specifically, this role can create accounts in the organization. Okay, so he can create multiple accounts in that organization, and he can view all accounts in the organization. So there will be a command. We cannot see this in practical, okay, because we are creating only one account, right? And we are the account admin for that. We are not the org admin. If we have some organization, if we register with some organization name, and if we have multiple accounts, then only we can see this in practical. So organization admin can view all accounts in the organization. Okay, and what are all the regions they are using, everything about the all Snowflake accounts, he can view that information. Okay, and he can view usage information across the organization. Suppose under the Snowflake account 1 we are consuming 100 credits, and our Snowflake account 2 we are consuming 150 credits per month. So that usage information across the organization he can see. For now, if we are the account admin, we are seeing, right, how many credits we are consuming per day, per month. Okay, so that level of information for each and every account, that means for organization level usage, org admin only can see. Okay, so this is about the org admin. So we'll not have any practical session with this, and even in real time we don't see this role at all. Okay, the next one is account admin. So whenever we create some Snowflake account, these are the roles coming automatically, right? Out of the default roles, out of the system defined roles, account admin is the top level role. Okay, account admin is the top level role. That means he can do anything with the account. Okay, he can operate all other roles also, like security admin, system admin, public, user admin. He can operate any role. Okay, because he is the top level role. Only account admin can see all account related things like usage, billing, users. Okay, how many users are there, what are the roles we have created, what are all the sessions we are running across the account, and what are all the reader accounts present in the Snowflake account. So he can see all this information. None of the other role can see all this information. They cannot see how many credits we are consuming, how much is the bill for last month, how many number of users present in our Snowflake account, how many roles we have created, okay, how many sessions users are executing every day, and if there are any reader accounts. No other role can see all this information. Okay, only account admin can see all this information. So I showed you, right, whenever we logged in with the account admin, then the account tab is coming. If we log in with if we are switching to other roles like security admin or public or sysadmin, that account tab is going. Okay, so only account admin can see all those things, and should be granted only to a limited number of users in your account. So I have a account admin role. Okay, this is the top level role. Suppose there is a one CEO. Okay, there is some top level person. He is creating the Snowflake account, but he cannot manage all the things in the account, that account, right? Just he is creating that account, but he cannot perform all the admin related things to that account. Okay, he cannot manage from that point of time. So what he can do, he can create a user. Okay, and he can assign this account admin role to multiple users. Okay, so after that, those multiple users will become account admins. So what Snowflake is suggesting, so you can grant this account admin role to limited number of users, because we don't need 10 members or 15 members like that account admins, right? So other than the owner, he can grant this access to account admin access to two more users. Suppose user A and user B, there are two users, and whenever this owner who has created this Snowflake account, whenever he is granting that security account admin role to user A and user B, from that point of time, they both will become the account admins. Okay, along with the owner, those two also becomes the account admin, and they will take care of the all account related things. Okay, so this should be granted to only limited number of users who can take care of that account. Okay, and we can enable multi-factor authentication. Only account admin can do. Okay, so what is the multi-factor authentication? Now every social app also they are following multi-factor authentication. So currently we are using only password authentication, right, for our Snowflake account. So if you want to put multi-factor authentication, then we have to register our mobile number also there. Okay, and whenever we want to log in, along with the password, we have to enter a OTP also. Okay, so this is about multi-factor authentication, and only account admin can set this. So how to set this means, let's see. So for our own account, it's not required, but for organizational accounts, this may be a mandatory. So here, if you go to this one, okay, the top right corner where our role is there, and there is a preference tab. Okay, if you just click here, and it is giving the user information and multi-factor authentication information. Okay, so status multi-factor authentication is not enabled. Okay, and because I haven't provided my phone number. So if you want to enroll for multi-factor authentication, we have to click here. Okay, and it will ask you to authenticate with your phone number. Okay, from later point of that time, it will be enabled. Multi-factor authentication will be enabled, but for us, it's not required, I feel. Okay. Okay, so this is about account admin, and account admin encapsulates all the sysadmin and security admin system defined roles. We'll come to this point at the end. Okay, so for now, account admin is the top level role. Only account admin can see all the account related things, and it should be granted to only limited number of users, and he can enable the multi-factor authentication. Sorry. Sorry. Okay, so the third role is security admin. Okay, security administrator. So this role can manage any object grants globally. Okay, this is this this security admin cannot see all the account related things, but he can see only some information. Okay, like the users and roles tab he can see from the account admin. In the account tab, there will be multiple tabs, right? Like usage, billing, users, roles, everything. But security admin will have limited access to that account tab. He can see only users and roles information there, because security admin is the responsible for creating the roles, users, and granting the access globally. Okay, security admin, whoever we are giving the security admin access, he will be able to grant the access globally. Okay, for any object, okay, for any role, he can simply grant the access because he is the like super user. Okay, security is nothing but granting the access, right? And not only granting the access, so the security related things he can take care. That means he can create the users, he can create the roles, he can grant the access to roles and users. Okay, he can do all those things. And so as a security admin can create, monitor, and manage users and roles, and he will have limited access to the account tab, and he inherits the privileges of user admin role via the role hierarchy. We'll see this last point, we'll see later. Okay, and when it comes to the user admin, so user admin is like subset of security admin. He can create the roles and users, but he cannot grant access to those roles and users. Okay, this role is granted just the create user and create role security privileges. He can only just create the users and roles, but he cannot grant any access globally to any users or roles. This user admin just can create roles, create users. Okay, then for those roles and users, security admin can grant the access globally. That means to any object like database, schema, okay, or tables, views, whatever it is. Okay. So, so as of now, we have seen like who can create the account, who can see the account related information, okay, and who can create the users. But we never discussed about creating databases, creating warehouses, creating tables, okay, and granting roles to those objects. We haven't seen. So sysadmin is the boss for all those things, okay. So he can create virtual warehouses, sysadmin. So whatever sysadmin is doing, that means account admin also is able to do that, but account admin will not do all those things. So he will create one sysadmin role, and this admin will take care of all database related things. So he can so you can see here, sysadmin is the role that has privileges to create warehouses, databases, and other objects in the account. Okay, and this role also has the ability to grant privileges on warehouses, databases, and other objects to other roles. So this sysadmin can create any objects, database related objects. Okay, not users and roles, but he can create the warehouses, databases, tables, views, whatever, all the database related objects he can create. And he will have the ability to grant privileges. Okay, so suppose I have created, I am a sysadmin, I have created one table, and I am granting the uh, some privileges to other users or roles. So only sysadmin can do the table level grant privileges, only sysadmin can do, and security admin also can do. He can grant any objects globally, but user cannot do, user admin cannot do, but security admin is able to provide global access to any objects, to any users, or to any roles. Okay, so this will be little confusing, but at the end I'll show you one diagram, you will get more clarity that time. Okay, so this role, all custom roles are assigned to this sysadmin role. We'll see this in practical, why all custom roles should be assigned to sysadmin role. Okay, so this is about sysadmin, and the last and least role is public. So this role is automatically granted to every user and every role in the account. So whenever you create some account, okay, and whenever you create some role, or whenever you create some user, this public role will be assigned to them automatically. And the objects owned by the role, by this role, are by definition. Okay, this statement is confusing, but so whatever the objects owned by this public role, okay. So with public role, if you're doing anything, okay, those objects are available to all other roles and users in the account. So public means it can be viewed by anything, anyone, right? So what are all the objects owned by public can be accessible, can be seen to any other user, or can be seen to any other role in the account. These are the public objects. Okay. And this role is typically used in cases where all users have all access to the objects. So in real time, we won't operate with this public role at all. Okay. So this role is typically whenever we do some work with the public role, then all the other users also can view that uh, information, object information. But in real time, we strictly don't do any thing with this public role. Okay. So now let's see this diagram. So I was skipping one point right here. So if you see the last point under the security admin, inherits privileges of the user admin role via the system role hierarchy. And if you see the account admin, it encapsulates the sysadmin and security admin system defined roles. So what is that mean by? Okay, now I'll explain you by using this diagram. So this is the role hierarchy diagram in Snowflake. So account admin is the boss. Okay, he will have all access. He can do anything, whatever security admin can do, whatever sysadmin can do, all account admin can do. That means he is encapsulating all the properties of security admin and sysadmin. That means whatever these two can do can be done by account admin also. That means whatever the functionalities sysadmin and security admin is having, so both can be have by account admin. Like the way user admin is a subset of security admin, I said, right? So whatever user admin can do, okay, all those things can be done by security admin also. That means he is inheriting the properties of user admin. Security admin is inheriting the properties of user admin. You know inheritance in Java concepts, right? So what are all the things we can do by using user admin, the same can be done by security admin also. And whatever the things can be done by security admin can be done by account admin also. So just by using this arrows you can see. And the least one is public. So whatever public role, this is the least role. Okay. So every user, every custom role will have this um, public role assigned to them. Okay. So and when it comes to this is administration part. Okay. Like creating users, creating roles and providing the grants to those roles and users. And this is like the actual database part, like creating warehouses, creating databases, schemas, tables. Okay. And these are the custom roles. If you see, these are not system defined roles. Okay. So these five are the system defined roles, and you don't see arg admin here because we are operating, whenever we are operating with single account, there will be no arg admin. Whenever an organization is maintaining multiple accounts, then it will have one super boss that he is called the org admin. He can manage multiple accounts. Okay. And if you see here, there are some custom roles. We will see what are the custom roles in the next slide, but just try to understand. So suppose I have a developer role, I have a tester role, I have a end user role, I have a business analyst role. All those roles are not defined here. Suppose whatever the things can be done by sysadmin, I don't want all those things to give to some user. Okay. And what are all the things can be done by security admin, I don't want to give all those things to another, the user joining our team. Okay, I want to set some properties, I want to set some privileges, and I want to give only access to those privileges to these roles. Okay, in that case, what we have to do, we have to create some custom roles and grant only the needed permissions to those custom roles so that they can do whatever the um, things assigned to them. Like if he is responsible to load data, then he will have insert access. If he is responsible to just run some reports, then he will have only select access. Like that, we can grant privileges to these custom roles. Okay, so these are the system defined roles. Okay, account admin, security admin, sysadmin, user admin, and public. And these custom roles are uh, user defined roles. They are not system defined. Okay, security admin can define all these roles, or user admin can create these roles and create users. Okay, but granting should be done by security admin only. Okay, so this is the role hierarchy, and account admin is the top level role. Okay, then security admin and sysadmin are the top level roles. And if you see, there is one condition: all this custom roles should be assigned to sysadmin. This is mandatory. This is best practice, and this is mandatory. And not mandatory, you can avoid also, but the best practices should be assigned to sysadmin role. Suppose I have created one custom role, okay, and I'm not assigning it to sysadmin. Then this custom role, suppose he has a insert access. What he will do? He will create some tables, okay, and he will insert some data, and he is not assigned to sysadmin. Then what will happen? This sysadmin cannot control whatever the things done by the that custom role. Suppose in future the table is required to another role or another user, okay, so only this custom role whoever created, he can do that. But if those access, if sysadmin have those access, then he can do also, right? So what we do as a best practice, whatever the custom roles we are creating, we'll assign all those roles to sysadmin. That means sysadmin can control all these custom roles. This is a best practice, and we should do this in real time. Okay, all the custom roles should be sysadmin. That means sysadmin inherits the properties of all custom roles or users. Okay, so this is about role hierarchy, and let me show one diagram now. I think you will get more clarity. So how roles works in Snowflake? Okay, so just try to understand this table. Okay, so here is the databases. Here is my database, customer database. Okay, uh, suppose sysadmin has created this database. Okay, and I have multiple schemas inside this database, like stage tables, integration tables, control tables, and public schema also I have under my database. And I have different set of tables across these schemas. Okay, customer table, product table, sales, orders, offers, batch table. Okay, that is a control table, and the profits table. Okay, I have multiple tables. Okay, and I have some set of privileges. That means, so in this set, I'll have every access like insert, delete, drop, everything. But here I'll have only insert and select. Here I'll have only select. Here also I will have only select. Okay. So like that we can we can create set of privileges. Okay. And I'm assigning these privileges to this role. Okay, so I'm granting all the access that can be select. Okay, what select, insert, drop, delete. Okay, truncate, every privilege I'm granting to this developer role. Okay, but I'm granting only select and insert privileges to this tester role. Okay, he can insert some data for his testing. Okay, and for business admin, end users, and leadership, they don't need insert and delete access, right? They just want to view the data from the tables. So I'm just putting only select access for these roles. And what will happen? So the security admin or user admin will create all these roles. So till here, this will be done by sysadmin. He will create the database, he will create the schema, he will create the tables. Okay, he will create the privileges to these objects, and then security admin will create these roles. Okay, and then security admin will create these users, and he will grant the access from these roles to these users. Okay, suppose I have a 6-member development team, and I have created one developer role, and I have given the privileges to this role required for all the development activities. So now whenever a new join, suppose currently there are 6 members, for all these 6 members I have granted this role, development role. Okay, and in future, suppose a new team member is joining. Okay, he will be part of the development team. And if we if we have, if we don't have this roles functionality, okay, what will happen? For each and every database, schema, table, okay, we have to select the privileges to this newly added user. So it will be like hectic, right? Suppose I have 100 tables and 100 10 schemas. Okay, I have multiple objects. If I want to grant privileges to every new user, it's a difficult work. Suppose if we have a free defined role, okay, we have defined a role already. and if we just add this new users to this role, then by default he will get all the required access. Okay, so that's how it happens in the real time. Whenever a new team member is joining, he's not administrator is not going to give access to each and every object to that user. There will be some roles. Okay, those roles will be assigned to those users so that he will get all the required access. Okay, like that. Suppose if I have a new testing member is going to join my team, what will happen? I just assign this tester role to the team member. Okay, like that it works in real time. Okay, so complete this database part will be done by sysadmin, and roles and users will be done by the uh, security admin or user admin. Okay, then the based on his role he can do, like he can load the data, he can select the data, he can run the reports, he can drop the objects, whatever he can do based on the role we are giving to that user. So this is how it works. I hope this is more clear, right? And so tomorrow I'm going to explain in detail the practice part. So how we can do. Okay, suppose first of all we create one uh, create some users. Okay, suppose I will create one user with account admin activities. I'll create one account with secure admin. I'll create one more account with sysadmin. Okay, I'll create three users: Donald, Charles, and Janet. Okay, under that I'll create, so sysadmin is able to create the databases and tables, right? So we'll create some databases, we'll create some tables, and we'll try to see the access related things. Okay, in the lab practice tomorrow. And let's continue our session. I have a few more slides. Okay, so these are the system defined roles. And when it comes to the custom roles, okay, custom roles can be created by the user admin role or a higher role. That means a security admin also can create sorry a security admin also create a custom roles, or account admin also can create custom roles. Okay, so these custom roles can be created by user admin or higher role, as well as by any role to which create role privileges has been granted. Suppose I'm creating one user. Okay, and I'm giving the account admin or security admin privileges to those roles. Okay, so those roles also can, those users who has that role, granted that role, they can also create custom roles. Okay, so by default, a newly created role is not assigned to any user nor granted any other role. That means if we create a custom role, by default, it will not be assigned to any user, or it will not be assigned to any other role. Okay, so we have to run some query. Okay, select a grant. No, no, grant. There are some queries we'll show you tomorrow. Grant role to the role or to user. We have to execute simple one-line command. So by default, whenever create a custom role, okay, it will not be assigned to any other user, or it will not be assigned to any other role. We have to do it manually. And Snowflake recommends creating a hierarchy of custom roles. Okay, and with the topmost custom role assigned to the sysadmin role. Okay, suppose I have different businesses. Okay, in my Snowflake account, I'm operating with different data sets, like sales data I have, HR data I have, marketing data I have. Okay, different data sets I have. And for sales, I'll be creating one admin. And for sales, I'm creating some list of users. Okay, like the way for HR data, I'm creating one HR admin, and I'll have multiple HR users. Like the same way, I'll have one more data set, marketing data. Okay, for marketing, I'll have one marketing admin and the list of users under that admin. Okay, in that case, what we have to do as a best practice, okay, all those users should be assigned to admin. Admin should be assigned to sysadmin. That means whatever the users are doing, okay, all the users are doing, that admin can watch over, that admin can control. and whatever the admins, suppose I have three admins, okay, HR admin, marketing admin, and sales admin. So all, if we assign all these three roles, custom roles to sys admin, so he will have control over all the all the admins, HR admin, sales admin, and marketing admin. So if we don't assign those roles to sysadmin, then he cannot control the uh, control whatever they are doing. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier also, so we should assign all the custom roles, okay, to sysadmin. And if we don't assign this roles to sysadmin, what will happen? He will not have control over the objects that custom roles are creating. Okay, so only security admin can view the objects and modify their access grants. Suppose if we are not assigning a custom role is there, and if we are not assigning it to sysadmin role, then what we have to do? Sysadmin will not have access to those objects. Okay, in that case, okay, security admin can come here. Okay, he will have the global access grants. That means he can do anything. Okay, he can grant access to any object, he can revoke the object, even though he is not assigned to security admin. Okay, this custom role is not assigned to security admin, still he can control the things happening in the account. Okay, so this is about custom roles. Okay, we'll see in this as practice tomorrow, then you will get more understanding. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.